Patreon going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing Selling the OC. We're going to be doing episodes 5 and 6 in this episode. So let's just jump into the reason that we're here. So episode 5, it's the next morning, and Ashtyn's been crying all night. If you remember, this is when, we're at the party or the dinner, and everyone is ganging up on her. So that's what's going on there. We then have Gio, Tyler, Polly, and Kaylee going surfing at one of those man-made surfing places. Kaylee does think that Tyler is hot. She does, so don't hold on to that. But she also doesn't shit where she sleeps. Then there's also the fact that it's a little complicated because he has this history with Alex. So, we'll see. Apparently, Ian, so this is Alex's man, he got upset last night. Because if you remember, Hall and Tyler had a conversation. What we don't realize is how long the conversation potentially went on for. Ian says it was 2 hours, and she didn't come to bed until I think 1 in the morning, and that made him upset. And they actually show a clip of him being upset. And it's okay, number one, what do you think she's going to do? She's having a conversation with Tyler. She's drunk, first of all. So let it maybe have lasted half of that time while she was sober is going to be a little more amplified now that she's drunk. And what's the big freaking deal? Me, personally, I wasn't too sure about Ian. I'm I don't like your face. That's the thing. And with this, then I'm oh, I don't know, because I feel like it's a little dumb. It's a little dumb. Maybe there's the insecurity there because she had cut him off to be with Tyler, which I get. But again, also remember, you're probably around her children at this point. You guys are apparently talking about living together. We'll get to that later. And I don't think she's going to ruin all of that for someone who truly is unpredictable. So calm your tits is what I want to say. Anyways, we move on to Alice and Fiona. They're talking. And initially, they are talking about Ashtyn, but then it brings up Fiona's triggers here. And she explains, which is very sad, but she explains, being manipulated by her ex, being manipulated, in her words, by Ashtyn is very triggering because of the ex. So she says when people are manipulating her, it gets to her. She explains he was abusive. We doesn't matter how, but at least we're gonna assume here verbally, emotionally, maybe physically. Who knows? But yeah, he was abusive. When she met him, she was working 3 different jobs, but she really wanted to be in real estate. That was her dream. And he basically told her, yeah, quit your job and I will support you while you do that. And could have told you he used it against her. Here's the thing. Some men are going to have the best of intentions, but then there are the men that don't. I don't care who it is or how they are or how sweet they are. Any man who says quit your 3 jobs to become real estate, I'll support you. Absolutely not. No way. Maybe quit like 1 or 2 jobs, keep one of those jobs and try to focus on real estate. Never ever let a man have full control over you. Never. I- I'm not saying I'm not victim blaming here, but it just shows that men can't be trusted with, it's really sad. Like, so sad. It's sucks. Anyway, so she says like she ended up selling her first property after she left him. And the bigger bombshell here, y'all, this is not just a boyfriend. She married this guy. They were married. And now, at her young age of 23, she's going through a divorce, which honestly, I wasn't much older than her. I was 26. And it sucks going through a divorce for any reason. It sucks. Anyways, then we are with Ashtyn and we meet her husband, Jeff. Jeff is here. Because remember, actually, I don't think I said this. When our 4 people here went surfing, Ashtyn said, oh, my husband's down there having like a bachelor's party. If you see him, like say hi to him or send him my way or whatever the heck she says. So, yes, he's nearby. But she told him what happened, at dinner the night before. And so he is aware of that. Of course, he's going to, say she's doing nothing wrong. It's dinner time again. So, yay. We'll see what happens here. Um, Ashton and Jeff, they met online, y'all. They met online. They say they don't, I don't know if they said which website they met on, but they did meet online. However, Fiona says, I heard it was on a more controversial website. Me, I don't know why my mind went here. I'm like, oh my God, was it Ashley Madison? I know it was not Ashley Madison, but yeah, something controversial. We'll get to that a little later of what that was. But Gio takes the opportunity to tell Ashtyn, I do think Hall and Polly and Fiona came too hard on you. And he's saying this at the table. And you know what? I do for the subject matter at hand, yeah, I think it was hard. I don't think I don't think any of this deserves a conversation. Grow the fuck up. Is basically you don't give a shit about Tyler in that way. Who cares? She told you the truth. I said this already. She told you the truth. Now, her talking about the relationship, you can put that in such a way as like, hey, listen, don't talk about my relationship. Keep that out your mouth. Done, period. Let's go about our business. It's not that serious. It really, truly isn't. Um, it's not like on the Selling Sunset where you have people talking about other people's dead parents. This is different. This is minuscule in comparison. You know what I mean? And then you add to the fact that this girl is pregnant. Like, come on now. This is stupid. Anyway, but Alex can hear what's going on here. And she calls Gio out on like what he's saying. So basically, stirring the pot. Is it stirring the pot though? Or is it him being like, I am so sorry that these people are fucking crazy? Like, what? Um, and apparently he said, your husband, I think I missed this, but I think he said something along the lines of like, your husband like needed to be here for your protection or whatever. And I was like, I'm sorry, who needed protection? The pregnant lady. All the pregnant lady needed the freaking protection. What the fuck? Anyways, at this point, I wrote down, I do not like Ian because he's too much. We saw it the night before too, that when people are having conversations and he's had too much to drink, he talks over everybody. And he just bulldozes through everybody. He's annoying. I find it disgusting because Kaylee, they're kind of, I guess, trying to get her 2 cents on something. I don't remember what it was, or just the whole situation. But Kaylee's not about this. She literally says, this? Your dramas? I don't give a fuck. This is, because you know why? Kaylee's grown. Kaylee's grown. Kaylee is the Brandy when Brandy is not on television. Brandy has become that other chick on Selling Sunset whose name I can't, was it Demina? Was it Demina? That sounds right. Demina? Was it Demina? That doesn't feel right in my mouth. But anyways, she's her now. You never see her. And then when she pops up on your screen, you're like, oh, look, it's Brandy. That's literally what Brandy's become. Well, she is the Brandy when Brandy was on TV. You know what I mean? She doesn't give a shit. She's too grown for this. She has a life outside of this. She don't care. This is serious for her. She says, listen, my business partner is in the hospital who could be dying or who maybe also almost died. I don't give a fuck about your stupid drama about her talking about a guy you weren't even dating, who you already knew had another girlfriend. And I don't care that she was talking about your boyfriend about something that could fucking be true. You know what I mean? So, what the fuck? I don't care. Okay? And Ian is just extra gross in this moment because he keeps talking over Kaylee, talking about her business partner who almost died. And I think he mansplained at one point. Maybe this. Oh no, that was a different dinner. He just won't shut the fuck up. And Alex is even saying, "Hey, can you stop?" He won't stop. I don't like this guy. I do not know what she sees in him at all. You know what I think she sees in him? She's a reason that she doesn't have to keep going back to Tyler. That's what I think. I don't think she actually likes this fucking guy. Not really. I don't understand why she's with him. I I think he sucks. He's not good looking. I'm sorry, but he's too fucking close to your mother's ex-boyfriend because that's his father. Like, it's just weird. I don't like it. I don't like him. Fuck him. But they ended up leaving, and that's that. So, or like leaving the table. Um, so Tyler and Kaylee are alone talking. They talk about the office and the tougher times. But Tyler's sweet, of course, and says, this group is ride or die. They're there for you. Um, and this is where she asks him, when's your birthday? And he's thinks that's sometime in July. And she's like, oh, you're a Cancer. So he's a Cancer, which explains a lot because he cries, he shows his emotions, he expresses his emotions. We love a man who can express his emotions. It's fine. He feels everything, he says, and she says, I feel safe here. Now, I know she meant she felt safe with the group, but it was just very sweet to hear her say, I feel safe here, when that could also be implied to Tyler. I want everyone to hold on to this. Let's move on. It's the next morning, and we see Polly and Fiona are talking. Fiona's feeling like how Kaylee brought up her friend was a lot. Sorry, what? So wait. Y'all can talk about your shit when it's fucking dumb, but she can't talk about real life things that actually mean something to give shit perspective? The fuck? Like, I get the thing she had issue with was her saying, I don't give a fuck about this. Yeah, she does it because you guys are talking about something that is stupid while her friend is in a hospital potentially dying. I'm sorry, that puts shit in perspective. I'm on her side. What? Um, but Polly says, when I leave here, I'm going to an open house. What does that have to do with anything? Like, she literally said, like, I think what they're trying to say is because, based on what she said, like, I don't give a fuck about this, and she has, like, real life things going on. I think they're taking that as, like, oh, we think she talking things like we don't do anything. No, it's not what she's saying. What she's saying is your drama is dumb. Well, I'm not gonna comment on your fucking drama when I'm dealing with a real life situation right now. Done. She's not saying you don't do nothing. She's saying, I don't care right now. Anyway, so Gio and his wife, they're having a conversation um about what they think about Ian. And they agree with me. They think he's annoying. And Gio doesn't understand why she's with him. She essentially can do better. He does say, how do you go from a guy like Tyler, who is sweet and kind and sensitive? Yes, he's fucked up and made bad choices, but at his core, he is a good guy. To this guy who it's all about me, me, me. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to, I'm me, 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 me. What about Alex? What does Alex want? Really, what does she want? Does she want more kids? Because she's never talked about wanting to have more kids. Actually, if anything, I feel like I've heard her say she doesn't want more kids. So my girl's gonna be 30. She's 38, I believe. Like, maybe she doesn't want to start with more kids. I don't know, man. Anyways, but everyone is leaving now, and Ashtyn is upset again for what reason, I don't know. But she's upset because I guess because of everything that's happened and no one's really come to her aid or something. I don't fucking know. But she knows who she can trust. And she's like, this group is going to learn exactly who she is. Can I say when? Because I'm at the last episode and I'm like, oh, when does that happen? Like, she's a little ruthless, but nothing crazy. She ain't no Christine Quinn. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, that is it for episode 5. We're gonna take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll jump in with episode 6. Hi everyone. So I have something new for you. This is Noble Dunch. So, just a quick little thing about them. They make high quality, plant-based and convenient food that fuel your body and fits your routine. Whether you're juggling work, family, fitness, or personal goals, they make sure that you always have access to wholesome, gluten-free meals that, of course, you can trust. So, they have basically meals that you can get that are tasty, healthy, and ready in just 8 minutes. And again, it's vegetarian, it's gluten-free, and it's packed with 11 grams of protein. Yes, please. They have some meals, for example, like the instant jasmine rice and tomato sauce. And again, that's ready in 8 minutes. And it comes in 12 bowls, a carton, and it contains ingredients like jasmine rice, tomato sauce, chili oil, soya chunks, carrot and peas, and a spoon in case you need that as well. So basically, it's quick and easy. You would pour that jasmine rice and the carrots and those peas into a bowl, and then you would add boiling water up to the marked line inside of that bowl, close the lid, and let it sit for 8 minutes. And then you would open, add the needed amount of tomato sauce and chili oil into that bowl, stir, and enjoy. Very simple, very easy. So, you can earn Dunch points with every meal. You can basically get a point per dollar that you spend. You can get 60 free birthday Dunch points, and you can get 50 points per referral when you refer a friend as well. And that all kind of adds up. So if you're interested in that and you want to take part in this, you can head over to my link that helps support not only Noble Dunch, but also supports the podcast. And that is going to nobledunch.com/HEKVNLEC. And that link will also be in the show notes. And we're back. Let's jump in with episode 6. So we're back at it, back at the office again. Today, though, it's Polly's birthday. I didn't realize the birthdays were so close, Polly and Gio's. But yes, it's Polly's birthday. She's 39. Um, so this is where we find out that Alex and Ian are buying a house together. What? I don't even think they've been together a year. What is going on? They're buying the house in Temecula now. I do not know Californian geography, but from what I understand, Temecula is further away from where she currently is in the OC. What does that mean for work? What does that mean for her kids? Why? Why? And she does say she's moving away from everything that she knows. And I hate this. I feel like this is an isolation tactic. I don't trust him. Anyway, then we find out Ashtyn is on a baby moon right after being with Gio, which is whatever, no big deal. But Fiona takes the opportunity to say, hey, I know they said how they met online or whatever on like a regular old dating website, but it actually was on a sugar baby website. Oh, and he's supposed to be a sugar daddy? Okay. Seeking arrangements to be exact. I think we've all heard of seeking arrangements. Yikes. So, but this is what I have to say. You're getting mad at Ashtyn for saying things about your boyfriend that may or may not be true. And now you're doing the exact same thing. You don't fight fire with fire. You set an example. Because to me, and again, it's more for me, her age is showing than anything, but I do feel like this is hypocrisy. You're being hypocritical. You can't complain about her doing something when you're doing the same thing. Grow up. Anyways, then Polly says, so it starts with this, I didn't stress this before. Alex is going to be throwing a birthday party for Polly. It's going to be in a few days after her birthday. But then Polly says, oh, I have a dinner with friends. Alex was not invited to this, and Alex is upset. And at first, I'm thinking, why are you upset? Like, who gives a shit? She's allowed to have other friends besides you. We'll get to that a little later. Polly says that her best friend organized it and she was not in charge of the guest list. So, we're at a house with Alex and Fiona, and this is where we found out a little bit more about Polly's birthday dinner. It was right next to her house, number one. Number two, it was all with their mutual friends. I guess including the friend who made the organizing this. They're all supposed to be mutual friends. And so I was like, oh, I see. That's not cool. But now she says she's starting to see a pattern with Polly, you know, that she doesn't necessarily care about maybe how Alex is feeling about certain things. She brings up the example of Tyler when Tyler brought him up initially in the first episode. Um, and basically, Alex stressing like how she was feeling and Polly kind of being like, essentially, not my problem kind of attitude. Um, and you know what? Here's what I think. I think it's just a grown ass woman being like, you can dislike him and not be his friend, but that doesn't mean I can't be his friend. What he did to you is not what he did to me. So I don't have the same experience as you. And that is okay. I can still be friends with you and I can still be friends with him. That is how grown people deal with things. Honestly, I don't know how grown of a person Alex truly is. She is grown. Her age would say she is. But I think she's grown when it comes to certain things. But when it comes to her relationships, her friendships, her actual relationship, she's not very grown. She's very, you know, she's like a toddler. And yeah. Anyways, Austin apparently has to get a vasectomy because they done having kids. He's actually put off this appointment, which is a terrifying thought. This is when I'd be like, I'm not sleeping with you anymore until you do that freaking appointment. Seriously. Gio came for some moral support. Um, yeah. He's like, why am I here? This doctor, though, is funny. I like him. Can't remember. I think it was Dr. Spitz, I think was his name. He's like, I call it snipping the OC. I love him. And then he goes through the process, which I thought was funny, but definitely men don't think this is funny. So this is what he said. Ready? Ahem. So I numb the area. Then I create a small opening just above the balls. Okay. And I create an incision in there. Okay. So I can get in to the Vans deferens where everything from the balls goes bloop to your penis. And then I will cauterize the area to make sure that nothing comes out from there. And then I will do it again on this other side, discussed on twice. And the funny thing is Gio's like, oh God, oh Jesus. And then Gio asks, so will he be awake for this? Oh yeah. It's fine. You don't have to like they'll numb the area. You're fine, but you'll be awake for all of this, sir. Oh my God! Now drop your trousers. And Gio's like, this is where I go. I will be outside. Fiona is showing a house to Luke. Luke is Polly's friend. If you don't remember him, he's the one that ate the oysters and said never again. He's thinking of moving to California. I guess to, which is unusual. At least not unusual, I guess I should say, but that's where like it's just different, right? I saw that happen with Frederick. He was strictly New York and then he became bicoastal, then he moved to California. Um I miss him. But anyways, not unusual. It just never was discussed before. Or we never heard we came from here's a guy who works in New York real estate. Now he's moving to California. It's leaps. And I'm thinking, is he moving because of Polly? Which is fine, but just curious. Anyways, Polly shows up at that point and he starts having a conversation about, wanting to establish himself in real estate. And here is a contact who works at a brokerage, that being the O Group. And she, you know, is worried about shitting where she sleeps. But I have to say, is that shitting where you sleep in the same way? Whereas, like, you're not necessarily dating a guy that you met while working. He came. to the after the fact. You know what I mean? I don't know. But anyways, she doesn't want to shit where she sleeps. But he also would be a great addition, and she recognizes that. I predict he is gonna have that conversation eventually. Maybe not I don't know about this season. Not quite finished episode, the final episode yet, but he's gonna have that conversation with Jason. Um, maybe Brett will show up too. Who knows? Brett never shows up for the OC one, um, but yeah, he'll have that conversation, and he will become a part of the O group, and it will cause problems. Not to the point where they'll break up, I don't think, but I think it will cause some tension. Anyways, it's party time at Alex's for Polly's birthday. Um, and she's gonna let, bygones be bygones right now. She's not gonna talk about anything. So they're just gonna celebrate Polly's birthday and on them closing escrow on Alex and Ian's new house. And I still hate this here, okay? But then we talk about Ashtyn again meeting her husband on seeking arrangements. Why does this have to constantly keep being brought up? Get a life. But then Polly says her husband was a little weird with me. Oh, explain, she says. He apparently saw them surfing, him and his bros, and jaws were on the ground. Were the jaws on the ground for just you, Polly? Because there was another woman there. So, I don't know. And were jaws on the ground because they were oppressed? Who knows? I don't know. But he also said, I'm obsessed with your accent. That's what all Americans say, right? North Americans, we love a British accent. Nothing wrong with that. So I see nothing wrong quite yet. And I don't have enough validation with the surfing thing. But then there's this. In the first season, which I did not remember this, didn't even remember Polly had long hair, he goes skinny dipping, when they show the clip, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of this. She goes skinny dipping, and he tells her, yeah, like I watched that scene like 7 times. What the fuck? Okay, that's weird. You're weird. Ew. That I'm like, okay, I get it. That's weird. Kaylee is like, I don't want to sit here and keep talking about Ashtyn. She is technically friends with her. She doesn't want to constantly doing that. And this is where Ian starts mansplaining about like, oh, the company you keep and all this. Shut the fuck up. And everyone's just over at this point. But then the manservants, because we have manservants here, they start stripping, taking their shirts off. And Austin's like, wait a minute, let me get in this. And then randomly a notary public shows up to sign off on the house. You need a notary public. I guess you do, but whatever. Um, to sign off on the house, and I'm just like, ugh, what the fuck? Gio, because he's with me, he says, this is all moving way too fast. And I agree. This is a bad idea. Bad idea. We're at a house with Alex and Polly. This is after the party. And then Polly hides in a closet. And Alex is like, where the hell did she go? And I think she can kind of see that the covers start, like the door is starting to move. And she's like, Marco, Polo. And she finds her in the closet. And she's like, it's like Narnia in there. Alex like, what's Narnia? What? Where were you? You didn't have to see Narnia to know Narnia exists. And not only that, it's a book. Well, I don't think it's called Narnia though. It's called Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But still, it's like, what? You never heard of Okay. Polly then thanks Alex for the party, and Alex brings up the dinner that she had with her friends. And she says, listen, it wasn't up to me. And then Polly did apparently say, come by if you want. But Alex took that as a half-assed invitation, which is like, okay, maybe, but she still said it. So either you go or you don't go. that is on you. So Polly says, I don't plan my life. And Alex has a lot going on. She's a mom, she's a real estate agent, she's has a man. Like she is has to be a little more regimented than Polly does as a single person with no kids. So, um, it's like if she is upset that our friendship is changing, I'm not the one who has changed in the friendship. Ooh. So I'm wondering, this is me, this conspiracy, I have a conspiracy theory here. I really wonder if a lot has changed in their friendship and it is because of Alex. Because now she's in this relationship with a person who may or may not be controlling situations. I don't know. I'm just wondering if that is what's happening. Or she's choosing to spend more time with him than her friends or whatever. Which, yes, and when you're in a newer relationship, that is what happens, right? But then that would show that, yes, the person changing is not Polly, it's her. And she needs to recognize that. And if that's a problem for you, yeah, like if it's a problem for her, she needs to recognize that. Um, but she is questioning, are we growing apart? Like Alex is questioning that. Um, you don't have to though, especially when maybe the reason is because of this new relationship that she's in. I don't know. But anyways, that is it for episode six. I'm staring at episode 7 right now. That is it for episode 6. And that is it for my episode. So we will be back with another one. But until then, that is it for me. And that is it. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for this, for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality times 2 pod. I believe you can email me at realityt times 2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality t times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you can tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality t times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed, I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently. You can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.